Apologize to those who have been joining us via social media. Sometimes computers decide that they want to reboot, and they did, and had some issues with the signal. But we are live and local and back full speed. So hopefully that side of the world will join us. But we're still live and local on the radio airwaves and back up full speed. Um, had somebody take one of those moments, Xavier, where they just kind of, like the offense is moving and the defense lay it down to slow it down, slow down the momentum. Well, that's what we had on that side. So, but I think we're back better on that side. So we're ready to get things going. As we were going to break there, we were talking about Alabama and Ole Miss. What does Bama? This is kind of probably be kind of one of those obvious questions. What does Bama need to do to win this game against Ole Miss?
Uh, I mean, like we said, the effort has been there and it's been great. You just have to look at at the shot selection. I mean, guys just throwing up threes, whatever. Now I get maybe against an Auburn where they got the big shot blocker in the middle and Kessler, that can make things hard to drive. But at a certain point, you just know you're off for the night, and it's probably not going to change. And you got to pump fake, take it to the hole, things like that, and finish at the rim, draw fouls, things like that, get your confidence back. So I feel like Alabama starts off slow tonight from the 3 point line. That's what they should do. Or maybe they should just start with that to begin with, build some momentum, build some confidence, and then move out.
Do you think that Nate Oates has any other plays in his playbook other than the drive and kick and spread it out around the three?
I would like to think so, but as you said, this team is built a certain way, and with the guys that we see on the court, that is what we get. Uh, when you talk about when you talk about the way Bama plays the game and the players that they have on the court for the most part, they're 3 point shooters, and so if it's a driving kick or if it's just a straight pull up three, that's what they're built for.
Yeah, but see, everybody says that it's a driving kick three. There's other ways to get 3 point shots other than the way we do it.
Oh,
Um,
I agree.
I mean, if you and Jamie McGee type, nope. So and that's the question is, I understand how we want to play. I don't have a problem. I'm not now in football. Man, they had to take me dragging and kicking, and I'm still kicking. They don't have to drag me as much, but I'm still kicking as like sometimes when they drag and kick you, you're like laying on your back and you're kicking them, trying to get their hands off of you. That's where I was with football going to this offense and no running game and all that. Well, I can at least watch the game and enjoy football with this type of passing, but I'm still kicking because there's moments on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, inside the 5, and all of that it comes back to bite you that you don't have an established running game, and that these 4 and 5 star offensive linemen that you have are really 4 and 5 stars because they know how to pass set, not because they know how to run block. And no matter how big they are, they don't know how to drop their butt, flip their hips, and drive a guy out so you can run the ball. That's the reality of where we are, and I get that. But in basketball, I understand Nate Oates wants to shoot threes and he wants to get up and down the court. My question is, does he have another way to get to that other than driving kick and getting plays off of rebounds? Because one of the things that teams have done, X, is they're now shooting the ball and flying back on defense. That Alabama's getting they always have a guy. We're not getting those wide open run out threes consistently like we used to. And I think part of where we got a lot of our threes last year and even early this year was in transition. we are not a very good 3-point shooting team at all when we have to shoot threes from a set offense. And I watch, I watch the Warriors and other teams, and you know, you have the James Harden Houston Rockets form of getting a three, or you have the Warriors form of getting three, and we're more James Harden. So and so I don't know that it's gonna change. I don't know if we have good enough shooters to run it the way he wants to run it, without having more open sets and maybe some pick and rolls and some give and goes and a lot of motion to get guys open. We don't move the ball a lot,
Yeah,
so
this team definitely needs to move the ball more when you're talking about it. And I mean, you named the gives and goes, the pick and rolls, making that one extra pass. A lot of times we get in that half court offense, and I've seen it a lot over the last recent weeks. You sample forward, they get the ball, and then they're across and they're holding. Nobody's moving, nobody's getting open, and then all of a sudden it's a bad shot with the shot clock expiring.
yeah. And so Virgil Williams says we don't have true shooters on this team, so why not move and take some mid-range shots to go with the drives? Um, but what we really need is when we make those drives, we need to go to the rim with force and not out of control and finesse shots. And the only guy I agree, but the only guy I think that Shackelford does a good job, using his body. And I think JD Davison will be better at that. He just makes JD Davison still has not mentally adjusted to the speed of the college game. Undoubtedly, those one-handed passes he made in high school get picked off a lot in college because they're not
Yeah,
the same zip, and those guys are a step faster. Um, but he's strong enough, I think, to finish at the rim. JD does finish. I mean, Shackelford does finish at the rim, and then Quinterly, he's gonna scoop. He's a finger roll guy, and so he ends up even when he gets fouled, it's not a lot of and ones from his game because he avoids the contact when he makes those shots, and when he doesn't make the shots, they're getting blocked even when he gets fouled. So we'll have to see what they do against Ole Miss, but I think it's mission critical, especially with what we saw with Arkansas last night. It's mission critical that they get that taken care of. Anything else
yeah.
from? Go ahead.
No. I was just agreeing with you.
Does, does Alabama take care of business against Ole Miss?
I mean, I want to say yes, but if they come out and shoot like they did Saturday against Kentucky, it's a no. But if they shoot like they did against Auburn or any of these other teams before Kentucky, yeah, they'll beat Ole Miss uh, pretty easily. But they just can't. Hopefully, what happened Saturday is a Saturday. You get your 24 hours and you move on from it, so they're ready and focused. And this is a brand new day against them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we'll keep our eyes on that. I say Alabama rights the ship and takes care of Ole Miss. What I'm probably watching this game the most for is to see if we do anything different. And if we don't, we know that Nate Oates is going to live or die with his philosophy, and you can't fault him for that. Um, it's tough to change midstream, but I will hope to see some minor adjustment in some way with this game to get whether it's doing something different on defense to maybe save the legs of the guys that, of course, will help with the shot, and or see more movement on the offensive end, and even see a guy or two take a mid-range shot. I know they don't like that, but I think against Baylor we had somewhere between 40 and 50 points in the paint. Um, so and all those weren't layups. So let's see if we can adjust to that and see if we can get some more offense going and get confidence going. And that's the beautiful thing about offense and confidence is you can hit a layup, you can hit a short, elbow shot, and the next thing you know, the threes will start falling, and maybe they'll adjust. X, when you look at what's going on across the state, woo! On the football side of things, lots of rumors, lots of conversation coming out about Brian Harsin and him. Does Brian Harsin survive this attack?
I mean, I think Auburn is almost forced to keep him because they still have a little bit of a buyout that they're paying to Gus Malzahn, even though he is the coach of Central Florida now. And I don't think they can afford to have two buyouts on the books and
Xavier, you know that they got it. They got a couple of old school. They got a couple of old school alumni that got enough money that 18 million to them. The question is, do they want to pay another 18 million dollars? Hey, listen, don't forget the guy that runs Apple, Auburn alumni. Okay. The Yellowwood, Auburn alumni. so, 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 so they can get the money if they decide they want to get him out. The question is, go ahead.
Well, I look at it like this when you look at what's going on down there. Of course, you have the rumors about the assistant. Talking to Mason actually through Twitter, the average grad assistant for a football program makes well less than what she's making. She's making about 60,000 a year. So that makes you question things. Even talking to some people that work at SEC level is normally around 35, 40,000. So she's making 20 more than what an average assistant makes in that field. Then you look at Derek Mason took a $400,000 a year pay cut to get out of Auburn. That makes me question. You look at getting rid of Mike Bobo. Was it truly a firing or was Bobo quitting? Then you turn around, they bring in Austin Davis. 6 weeks and he's out. You have the former players coming out saying some of the things. You have Bo Nix, whose dad is an Auburn legend, who he submitted his legacy beating Alabama as a true freshman. And Heatley, you have to beg Tank Bigsby to stay, essentially. It's a lot of stuff going on within the Auburn program that makes you go, is Harsin the problem or is it just everybody else? Because he seems to be becoming the company.
I think that Harsin is fighting to get the hands out of the cook's hands out of the kitchen, Xavier. I'll throw it to the other side. The University of Alabama, before you were born and when I came here, had a reputation for having too many cooks in the kitchen after Coach Bryant. And they refused to move. And they hired this guy named Gene Stallings that said, hey, I'm going to run it my way. And then and he was winning he was doing really, really good. Okay. And then they told him to hire someone that he didn't necessarily want to hire. Shortly after that, he resigned. Who came back? All the cooks in the kitchen. And we went 17 years without a national title. And we went 30 years with one national title. And there was only one guy that said, I'm going to run this thing. Okay. Then we get another guy that says, if I come, I'm going to run it. You're not going to tell me how to run a football program. You're not going to. And then Alabama all of a sudden was great again. So my point is, Auburn has never had that type of scenario other than maybe under Coach Pat Dye. That's why Auburn can win a national title and then be totally irrelevant a year later. Okay?
Yeah.
They can have a great team, but they can't have a great program because the cooks won't get out of the kitchen. And Harsin has come out and said, it's too many people trying to tell the direction of this program. And Xavier, people pick their pick sides. They pick people and they pit each other. And when there's a confrontation, there's division. When one doesn't succumb to the demand of someone else, then there becomes division. And when you are a coach that's worthy of getting hired somewhere else, you leave. You don't want to be a part of it. And now the players have an option, right? The players used to not have an option to leave when they saw all of that craziness going on. Now they do. So is it Harsin standing up and saying, hey, cooks, get out of the kitchen? And yes, he is the common denominator, but is it because he's saying, I refuse to bow down and let y'all get in my business as the head coach? If you want me to be the head coach, I'm going to run this program the way I want to. And now players have options and coaches are like, oh, I'm not staying here, because Harsin is standing up for himself where other coaches allow the other people to keep coming in. I don't know if that's the case. Now we got to get the break. I'm going to let you respond to that on the other side. We got George Mason. We got George. We got George on hold. And we also going to talk about, if they do get rid of Harsin, where do they go? All of that conversation coming up next right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, a good Wednesday morning to you. No active wrecks. It's pretty quiet around town. If you do see conditions this morning, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Get a sweetheart of a deal right now at your hometown dealer, Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa. An amazing selection, low finance rates, and they want your trade. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
I can go from 0 to 60 way too fast.
Who knew electric vehicle owners were having so much fun?
20 or 30 years ago, I owned a gas sports car, and this car is much quicker.
It's a great, fun car to drive. When you put your foot on the accelerator, it just goes.
They're fun, they're fast, they're efficient. Visit driveelectricalabama.com to learn how you can start having fun driving an electric vehicle.
Sponsored by the Alabama Clean Fuels Coalition, the ABA, and this station.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but thought it would be too difficult? Then try Babbel. Babbel starts by teaching you words and phrases that gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations. So in 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking a new language in a few weeks. Babbel is built around real life. It teaches you practical conversations that you will actually use. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to babbel.com today. That's BABBL.com.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.com. empowermentcenter.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Virgil Williams commenting that it's all those cooks in the kitchen that's ruining Auburn and the booster clubs and all of that, and made a neat analogy and observation. He said that he believes that Paul Tyson would have been the quarterback at Alabama had we had if what was going on at Auburn in terms of the influence outside of the head coach's office was happening here as it is at Auburn, and Tyson would have been the quarterback. Not saying Tyson's a bad quarterback. Same thing with Bo Nix there at Auburn. And I think Bo Nix left because Bo Nix was getting coached by another guy other than his dad who was trying to help make him better. And when Bo Nix did what Harsin told him to do, he was a better quarterback. I've heard that was a confrontation versus him wanting, and he wasn't really necessarily torn up that Bo Nix was leaving. The problem is, I think Bo Nix and others may have, I don't know this, may have set up camps. And that's why you saw other players leaving as well, because people chose sides. Yeah. So go ahead real quick.
I don't know if it's a fair comparison from the simple standpoint. When you talk about coming out of high school, where these guys are ranked and projected, Bo was the 33rd player in the country in the 2019 class. Paul and Bo were the same class, 2019. And Bo was a 5-star, number 1 dual quarterback, 33 overall player.
Overrated.
He earned it. Rated or not, he earned it. Paul was number 321. And further down the board as far as a pro style quarterback.
Xavier, you don't remember, you don't. Do you remember Bo Nix getting to play? Bo Nix was not the best quarterback his freshman year on that team.
I'm not saying that he wasn't.
And that's Virgil's point, is that regardless of what he did in high school, what you do in high school has zero to do with college if the coaches are looking at who's performing. And what and we need to get to the caller, but what Virgil's saying is Bo got more push to be the starter because, or didn't get benched, maybe a better way to say it, when he wasn't playing well. And that's part of what the situation is. Yeah, Bo was a very good high school quarterback, Xavier. And Bo also had his dad as his coach, which also helps you when you looking at getting rankings and statistics and opportunity. I'm not being ugly by saying that because Bo was a good high school quarterback. Now, was it Gus Malzahn that didn't develop Bo anymore? That's very possible, because we saw what happened to Jarrett Stidham from Baylor to Auburn. He became, average quarterback. Let's get to George from Macon. George, you're in with the Martin Hughes Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Martin, just a few comments. Well, first off, you all touched on Bo Nix. Very athletic, but you could tell that he was not going to be coachable. Whenever things got tough, he depended on running around and creating a play. And I'm going to run around and you try to get open, and I'm going to throw it to you. And he could. He tried to be more like Patrick Mahomes, which Patrick Mahomes has probably ruined a lot of quarterbacks. To be like him. Getting to the basketball team, I always harken back to last year, and one of the most important players was Reese. When we weren't shooting well, we'd get it to him, and he would shoot. And he was always a threat to shoot the three, but he also had the size and the strength to go inside the paint. and we miss somebody else being able to shoot. Because what's happening now, the two or three guys that we're depending on, when they're not hitting, they press. And when they aren't hitting, the defense takes a step back, and then it ruins our dribble drive.
Yeah,
so
I think
when you're a shooting team and you don't shoot well, you look horrible. And for us to have been in the games, the last couple of games, with us shooting 3 for 30, and not only that, because they were packed in the middle, we weren't being able to drive. We were missing layups because they were contesting them. And just somehow we got to sink a couple of good shots, get that monkey off our back, and shoot 3. And going to the Auburn situation, Martin, I always harken back to when we were going through the 3 mics. Nothing but negative was being written. I mean, nothing but negative. And I can only imagine with social media now, when everybody's got a voice, it would have been horrible.
Right.
And with everybody in the kitchen, I'll go back to Gene Stalling. So he always said, we got to get a coach that's an SOB that can get the boosters in line. I don't know if you remember him saying that, but I mean, it just rings into my ears of what's going on at Auburn. And as long as you made the great point, as long as you're divided, you're never going to have one heartbeat and you're never going to win.
Yep. Thanks, George. And great points on both sides. And Virgil Williams said, hey, maybe if you start taking some 10 to 12-foot shots, the defense may drop back to stop that. Now when you drive and kick, because they think you they will either, if they've already sunk all the way back and then you start taking the 10 to 12-foot shots, then they'll come up, which lets you drive and kick. So it is just making some elbow shots and some short shots actually moves the defense, because right now the defenses are just sunk back to stop us from driving, and we're still driving all the way in, so that's a tough situation. But anyway, X, back to that point about Brian Harsin. I think he's in a really tough spot, and I think it's the fact that he's fighting to try to get the cooks out of the kitchen that's bringing about his headache. The question is, can he survive? And if he does, is it a 1-year thing where Auburn, realizes, hey, we're in a bad spot and can't get anybody, so let's let him go, through this year? Or do they make a move? And if they make a move, who do they go after? Because that's the problem is right now where you're at, who you going to go get that wants to come into that?
The other fact is how Auburn finished the season. You're talking about a team that was 6-2 at one point. They ended up 6-7 with a loss to Houston in the Birmingham Bowl. If this team had been 8-4, 9-3, beats Alabama, you're probably not hearing any of this. You're probably not having a lot of the moves. I think a lot of it has to do with he finished bad, and they didn't like that.
I think if they beat, I think it's 10 seconds. I think if they beat Alabama, first of all, they're not playing Houston in the Birmingham Bowl. They ruined Alabama's season, so they have that to hang their hat on all off season. They kept Alabama from winning and playing for a national title. They beat them in his first year. Hey, we got a guy who can beat the cross the state guy. All of that is what's being talked about, even if they're 7-6. That 10 seconds, I think, flipped everything, and it flipped it for us as well. But who do they go? Who do they go to? I heard a name yesterday.
Kevin Steele.
Huh?
Kevin Steele.
I think they're settling if they get Kevin Steele. Hugh Freeze. Is Hugh Freeze been out of the SEC long enough that there's no pushback from the headquarters, from SEC office?
Well, we see that Auburn likes to go get those guys. So they got one that's doing fairly well for them on the basketball court. So why not go get that football program too?
Yep, Hugh Freeze and Bruce Pearl would be the two former SEC guys who who may be willing to take that chance. And I think Hugh Freeze would be a good fit as far as style and all of that. Curtis Moore asked this question. I'll let you answer it, X. He said, why stay where you're not wanted? Why even fight it? It's like settling, being in a bad relationship with your girlfriend, wife. That's the way I see it. I don't agree with the wife part. The wife part, if you with the wife part, you agree you got to make it work. But here's the thing. Here's the question. Back to you, Curtis. One of the reasons he's fighting is he's making a public fight as well, so that they got to pay him that payout. If he makes it look like he doesn't want it, then they're not gonna budge on. They're lowballing him right now on what they're offering him, and we got to get ready to get out of here. I'll let you comment on that, X.
No, I mean you're right, but also at this point, all the big jobs are taken, all the little jobs are essentially taken for head coaches. So it would not surprise me if he makes it through this year and is out and is going somewhere else.
Well, the other thing you have to understand is Auburn is maligning him, in his opinion. They're saying he slept with an assistant or a secretary or whatever, or a co-ed, whatever their claim is. And if he walks away, Curtis, he's now been maligned and labeled. So he becomes tainted. He becomes tainted material for his next job. So he's fighting for his reputation. He's fighting for his contract and his payout. Even if he doesn't want to stay, he's going to make them drop all of their accusations, prove his legitimacy if he believes that he's correct, and make sure that they pay him every penny that they owe him. I think that's part of the reason he would fight. And then if he ends up staying, he can prove his worth. Coming back on the other side, we will have Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. That conversation up next.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, a good Wednesday morning to you. No active wrecks. Things pretty quiet around town. If you do see conditions this morning, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Get a sweetheart of a deal right now at your hometown dealer, Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa. An amazing selection, low finance rates, and they want your trade. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. 28-year-old Angelica Quintana is in custody after being arrested and charged with murder in a hit and run yesterday that authorities say could have been intentional. 26-year-old Dennis Nelson died after he was struck by her car on I-2059 yesterday morning. Troopers arriving on the scene at exit 76 on I-2059 found him trapped under a vehicle. He was transported to DCH Regional Medical Center, where he later died. Investigators called the incident domestic violence. I'm Don Brinkman, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb Series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
Tuscaloosa Gunsmith does gun repair, modifications, cleaning, Cerakoting, and laser engraving for guns, and they sell Black Rifle coffee. Tuscaloosa Gunsmith, just off 15th Street behind the fire station.
You know what happens in a plasma chamber?
Big stuff. Science stuff.
Diamonds. I'm Tom Osmond. Fincher and Osmond Jewelers carries artisan-created diamonds.
Earth and human safe.
And bigger. Lots bigger.
Fincher and Osmond diamonds from the mines or artisan-created diamonds.
They're all diamonds.
If you want to give her the big stuff, you've got to see these diamonds.
FincherandOsmond.com, a little tricky to find on McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
Don't go through another year with that awful joint pain. Now there's an exciting new treatment available here using natural biologics, regenerative solutions that can restore and repair damaged tissue in your joints. Hey, this is Gary Harris from the Gary Harris Show. I'm talking about QC Kinetics. Now open here, QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in non-surgical regeneration, highly concentrated natural biologics that can give you lasting relief. If you have pain in your knees, back, shoulder, hips, and you're tired of steroids, pain meds, and talk of major surgery, this is the treatment you've been hoping for. Call the medical professionals at QC Kinetics today for a free consultation. Learn about how natural biologics can be used to get you moving again pain-free. Listen, don't let them keep giving you steroids, and don't let them tell you surgery is your only option. Get a free second opinion at QC Kinetics. Do it now and imagine life in 2022 without pain. Locations in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. Call 205-686-1941. That's 205-686-1941. Again, 205-686-1941. Call today.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It's now time for our weekly catch-up with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries, presented by Johnson & Marshall Dentistry. He encourages us how to incorporate our faith into our daily walk, into the boardroom, the classroom, where our chosen field of play. Challenges on first things first. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing, sir?
A good day, huh?
Yes, absolutely, man.
Little ice cube. But man, I am excited to join you once again. We are continuing our series, First Things First, and thinking about, hey, this new year, how do we build a firm foundation for our lives? We've talked about making Christ the center of our life. And again, he's the greatest part of the foundation is Christ is the center. And that's placing our faith alone in Christ alone, and living our lives off of the throne. That's it in a nutshell. Then we talked about if you know, we need to be also growing and spending time in God's word. That was 1 week. And then we talked about spending time in prayer. That was last week. And my encouragement was for us to, again, if we're talking about building a firm foundation for our life, we need to be developing habits in these areas. Habits surrounding spending time in God's word. Habits surrounding spending time in prayer. Okay, so today we will take another step. We've been focusing on the vertical relationship with the Lord. Now we're going to focus on that horizontal relationship with other believers. And so we'll talk about fellowship in the next, I got about 3 minutes. We got fellowship in 3 minutes. And here's the verse. And again, the point is this: as we seek to, build a firm foundation for our lives this year, and maybe not build, but continue to build upon the firm foundation that we have, then fellowship is really important. And that's spending time with other Christians. So important. Let me give you a passage. Hebrews 10, 24 through 25. It says this, and let us, say let me or let us? Mark,
us.
Say, let us consider. Twitter popped up and I accidentally clicked on that. Okay, here we go. And let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. I need somebody to spur me on towards love and good deeds, and that encouragement, I'll talk about that in a second. But that's awesome. Let us consider how we may spur one another on towards love and good deeds. Man, we need each other. We need each other. But listen to verse 25. Not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing. Now, I think we have all become a little bit more in the habit of not meeting together since COVID, right? And so I want to say, like, here's the passage. Again, it says, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing. But listen, but encouraging one another. And all the more you see the day approaching. So again, I want to respect whatever I respect that. If you feel like, hey, I can't go back to church until things slow down. I 100% respect that. But what I'm telling you is fellowship is still important. So you got to find a way. I think we've been able to, with this whole Zoom deal, we've been able to open up a whole new can in terms of how you can connect with other people. But I want to tell you, fellowship is so important. 3 ways that I think it's important for you to get some fellowship as a believer. 1, you got to plug into a church. You need to be a part of a body of believers, a literal member, not just go occasionally, but a part of a body of believers.
Part of a body. Part of a body. Any part that's not part of a body means it's been amputated and it eventually dies. I'm just saying. Okay.
That's coming from the preacher. That's coming from the preacher right there. You be part of a body of believers. So you need to join a church. But then you need to be a part of a small group at that church. Sounds like that's my time. We're going to have to pick that up on next week.
Yeah, that'll be good because this is such a important time and topic. Let's revisit that next week, Scotty, because I taught part of this on Sunday, and what I love about that passage is not that it didn't say anything about coming to church for what you get, because it's true. You can stay at home and still get the word. You can still have you can even have God's presence in your home. But that part about don't forsake assembling so you can encourage other people, it's hard to encourage somebody else if you're on the couch. So I'm like you. I respect people that are concerned with COVID, but my question is, are you going everywhere else? I'm just asking. Just asking. Tell us real quick what
Martin just gave us. I wish I could see the look Martin just gave us.
hey, real quick, tell them where they can find you, sir.
Yes, sir. You can go to www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. You can send me a message there. It comes straight to my email.
All right. Hey, that's Scotty Holland. He's going to be back with us next week. First things first, don't forsake fellowship. We need it for ourselves and for what we give to others. We'll have that conversation next week. That's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministry. That's Xavier Houston, X's and O's Sports Podcast. I'm Martin Houston. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters for being a part of the program. Appreciate you guys. Roll Tide and catch you on the flip side. Remember this, guys. Trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks, but we are seeing a pickup in traffic volume at Fallen eastbound, Steady 3 Northport and